Stop scrolling for 1 second and listen, because the hesitation you've been calling wisdom might actually be fear wearing a nice outfit. You keep saying you're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect certainty, the perfect guarantee. But deep down you know the truth. You're not hesitating because you don't feel anything. You're hesitating because you do. And if you've been sitting in that quiet tension drawn to someone younger, feeling peace and attraction, but freezing every time you imagine moving forward, this message is for you. Quick reminder before we go deeper: subscribe now if you want more marriage-focused motivation like this, because these messages are built to protect your heart, sharpen your discernment, and prepare you for real covenant, not temporary vibes. Now breathe, because I'm going to say this clearly. Heaven already approved this younger partner. It's time to stop hesitating. And no, that doesn't mean you rush into marriage tomorrow. It means you stop letting fear delay what responsibility is ready to build. It means you stop allowing other people's noise to become the steering wheel of your love life. It means you stop acting like the age gap is the main issue, when the real issue is whether you're willing to receive the kind of love you prayed for without trying to control how it arrives. Because some of you don't struggle to find love, you struggle to accept it when it shows up differently than you expected. You wanted predictable, heaven-sent purposeful. You wanted familiar, heaven-sent growth. You wanted someone that would make sense to everybody. Heaven sent someone that makes sense to your spirit. And that's why you've been stuck. Because your spirit is saying, this is safe. But your mind is saying, what will people say? Your spirit is saying, this could be home. But your mind is saying, what if I look foolish? Your spirit is saying, this is different. But your history is saying, don't trust it. So you keep them at a distance. You move slow, but not in a healthy way slow, like you're trying to starve the connection until it dies so you don't have to face the possibility that it was real. Let's be honest. You've delayed before. You've talked yourself out of good things before. You've waited so long that the opportunity passed, and then you called it God's will to avoid admitting you were afraid. This time, you're not going to do that. Not with something that feels peaceful, consistent, and serious. Because when heaven approves, it doesn't always feel loud. It feels steady. It feels grounded. It feels like your nervous system can finally unclench. It feels like you can be yourself without performing. It feels like you don't have to chase, don't have to beg, don't have to decode mixed signals. It feels like clarity grows instead of confusion multiplying. So if you're hesitating, here's the question: what exactly are you waiting for? Because if the answer is, I'm waiting to be sure I won't get hurt, then listen, there is no relationship on earth with zero risk. The goal isn't to eliminate risk. The goal is to choose wisely. The goal is to see character, to see consistency, to see maturity, to see alignment. And that's why heaven's approval doesn't mean close your eyes and jump. It means open your eyes and build. It means stop acting like love is an emergency. It means move with intention, not panic. Now let's address the age gap pressure, because people have a habit of acting like numbers are more important than fruit. They will question it, judge it, twist it, and throw their assumptions at you like stones. But here's what most people won't admit. They are not evaluating your relationship. They are reacting to it. They're reacting to what it represents. If you are older, it represents the fear they carry about aging, about being chosen later in life, about missing a timeline. If you are younger, it represents the fear they carry about commitment, about choosing depth over hype, about not following the crowd. Either way, their reaction is about their inner world, not your destiny. And if you keep letting their opinions sit in your mind, you'll start disrespecting what's been good to you just to make other people comfortable. You'll start pulling away from someone who's been consistent because somebody else made a joke. You'll start questioning intentions because somebody else planted suspicion. You'll start shrinking your happiness because it doesn't match other people's expectations. And that is a dangerous way to live, because you can lose a spouse-level connection by listening to people who don't even know how to keep a healthy relationship themselves. So the first way you stop hesitating is you stop asking the crowd for permission. The crowd is not qualified. The crowd is not carrying your future. The crowd will not pay the cost of your loneliness if you walk away from the right person. Now, let's be mature. Heaven does not approve manipulation. Heaven does not approve imbalance. Heaven does not approve a relationship where one person is parenting the other. So how do you know the difference between a younger partner who is truly aligned and a younger partner who is simply attracted? You don't guess, you'll watch. You'll watch how they treat responsibility. You'll watch how they respond to boundaries. You'll watch how they act when they don't get their way. You watch how they handle disagreement. Because a future spouse isn't proven by romance. A future spouse is proven by conduct. Do they communicate clearly, or do they disappear? Do they keep their word, or do they make excuses? Do they show emotional maturity, or do they create drama? Do they respect your pace, or do they pressure you? Do they honor your values, or do they try to slowly move your boundaries? Because if they are truly approved for you, you'll see a very specific kind of energy. They will be intentional, not impulsive. They will be steady, not seasonal. They will be humble, not entitled. They will be serious about building, not obsessed with chasing attention. And you will feel this in your spirit. You'll feel safe to be honest. Some of you are hesitating because you've never had a love that felt calm. You've only known love that comes with anxiety. Love that keeps you guessing. Love that requires you to overthink. Love that makes you check your phone like your peace depends on a notification. So when a younger partner shows up and they are consistent, you don't know how to receive it. You start looking for a problem because your nervous system has been trained to believe calm is temporary. But calm is not temporary, it is what healthy love feels like. Calm is what you prayed for. Calm is what a marriage needs. You can't build a home on emotional chaos. You can't build legacy on instability. So heaven may have approved this younger partner because they bring what you lacked: emotional steadiness. Not perfect, but steady. Not finished, but focused. Not loud, but loyal. And if that's the case, your hesitation is not protection, it's self-sabotage. Let's go deeper. Sometimes you hesitate because you're afraid of the power dynamic. You're afraid that if you're older, you'll have to carry everything. You're afraid you'll be responsible for their growth. You're afraid you'll become the provider, the teacher, the fixer. And hear me, you should never choose you should never choose a relationship where you are required to raise another adult. So don't ignore that fear, but don't let it control you either. Instead, let it guide your standards. You make it clear early. I want partnership. I want mutual effort. I want shared responsibility. I want peace. I want honesty. I want a future. And then you watch if they rise to that or resist it. A partner approved for you will not be offended by your desire for structure. They will respect it. They will bring their own discipline to the table. They will not come to consume you. They will come to contribute. They will not come to compete with your purpose. They will come to support it. And if you see that contribution consistently, your fear begins to relax, not because you forced it, but because trust was built. Now, maybe you're hesitating for another reason. You're afraid of how real this could become. Because real love demands real choices. Real love demands that you stop entertaining backups. Real love demands that you stop playing small. Real love demands that you stop living halfway, half committed, half available, half guarded, half open. A spouse-level connection will require you to bring your whole self, and that's scary when you've been hurt. But you cannot ask for marriage and keep living like you're bracing for abandonment. Marriage requires vulnerability with wisdom. It requires courage with boundaries. It requires faith with discernment. So the next way you stop hesitating is you stop punishing this person for what someone else did. You stop making them pay for the pain you survived. You stop making them prove innocence like they're on trial. You allow their consistent behavior to speak. Let me speak to the older listener again, because I know what you've been thinking. What if they outgrow me? What if they change? What if one day they regret choosing older? Listen carefully. Anyone can change. People the same age can change. Older people can change. Younger people can change. Age is not what keeps someone loyal, character is. So instead of fearing the future, build in the present. Instead of guessing how they might behave later, observe how they behave now. Are they respectful now? Are they responsible now? Are they disciplined now? Are they truthful now? Do they protect your dignity now? Do they communicate now? That is what you measure. And if those things are consistent, your hesitation loses power. Because hesitation thrives in imagination, not observation. And to the younger listener who is serious about an older partner, the way you prove you're approved isn't by saying trust me, it's by living like a builder. It's by being consistent when it's not convenient. It's by honoring boundaries without sulking. It's by having a plan for your life, not just feelings for a person. It's by showing emotional maturity when conflict arises. Because if you want covenant, you must behave like covenant. Now here is a hard truth that will free you. Some people will never support what they can't control. If you choose someone younger and they can't predict it, they'll attack it. If you choose someone older and it challenges their view of how life should go, they'll criticize it. But your calling isn't to keep them comfortable. Your calling is to build a life that honors God and produces peace. So stop explaining. Stop defending. Stop trying to convince people who already decided they don't like it. Protect your connection. Protect your peace. Protect your heart. And if you need counsel, choose wise counsel people who care about fruit, not gossip. Now let's talk about the moment you need to stop hesitating most, when you notice the relationship is asking you to rise. Because that's what approved connections do. They don't just make you feel wanted, they make you become better. They make you communicate more clearly. They make you face your triggers. They make you upgrade your standards. They make you stop wasting time. They make you stop entertaining confusion. They make you practice consistency. And that can feel uncomfortable, because growth always feels like pressure before it feels like peace. But that's not a sign to run, that's a sign you're being shaped for something lasting. So what is the practical move from here? You don't jump into vows, but you do step into clarity. You have the mature conversations. You set the pace. You define what you're building. You talk about commitment, values, faith, family, expectations, money, habits, boundaries, life direction. You don't delay these conversations because you're afraid they'll scare them away. If they are approved, clarity won't scare them, it will anchor them. A spouse-ready person loves clarity because clarity protects intention. And the more you practice clarity, the more your hesitation breaks. Because hesitation often comes from undefined expectations. Undefined expectations create anxiety. Defined expectations create peace. And here's the last thing I want to press into your spirit before we continue. Heaven's approval does not mean this will be effortless. It means it will be worth building. It means if you both stay humble, stay honest, stay disciplined, and stay intentional, this can become the kind of union people didn't expect but secretly wish they had. Steady, respectful, purposeful, protected. So don't let fear dress up as wisdom and rob you of what could become your home. Don't let opinions become the voice you obey. Don't let hesitation become a lifestyle. Because the truth is, you've already seen enough to take the next wise step. And that next step is not rushing, it's committing to clarity, committing to consistency, committing to building something real. And that's exactly where we're going now. Because the next wise step is where many people fail. They either speed up to silence their fear, or they slow down so much they starve the connection. But a relationship approved for covenant requires a different rhythm, steady progression. Not pressure, not avoidance, progression. And if you're going to stop hesitating, you need to understand what hesitation actually costs you. It doesn't just delay romance, it delays preparation. It delays partnership. It delays the life you could be building. It delays the healing that happens when love is safe and consistent. It delays your ability to trust again. And sometimes, the person you're hesitating about isn't being tested by time you are. Time is revealing whether you can receive what you asked God for without trying to control it. Let's talk about the hidden reason you hesitate. You want certainty before commitment. But marriage doesn't start with certainty. Marriage starts with discernment and decision. You don't get certainty first, you earn trust through observation. You don't get a guaranteed ending, you build a foundation that can carry storms. And that's why heaven-approved love is often simple. It shows up, it respects you, it communicates, it stays consistent, it grows. Your job is to stop complicating it with fear, not ignoring wisdom, removing fear. Wisdom asks, do I see fruit? Fear asks, what if I get embarrassed? Wisdom asks, are we aligned in values? Fear asks, what if people laugh? Wisdom asks, is this person responsible? Fear asks, what if they change? You see the difference? One protects your future, the other protects your pride. And pride is a poor reason to walk away from a potentially life-giving connection. Now, if heaven approved this younger partner, the approval will show up in how the relationship handles weight, not how it handles fun. Anybody can be amazing when life is light. The real question is, how do they show up when it's inconvenient? When emotions rise, when misunderstandings happen, when you need patience, when you say no, when you're tired, when you're not in the mood to be impressive. A spouse-level person stays respectful in those moments. They don't become cruel. They don't become manipulative. They don't threaten to leave. They don't punish you with silence. They don't try to control your emotions. They stay steady, and they work through it with you. This is why you must stop hesitating and start evaluating correctly. Stop evaluating based on excitement. Evaluate based on stability. Stop evaluating based on how fast they make your heart beat. Evaluate based on how safe they make your mind rest. Marriage needs peace more than it needs adrenaline. Marriage needs friendship more than it needs performance. Marriage needs loyalty more than it needs constant thrill. A home cannot be built on emotional fireworks. A home is built on daily faithfulness. So here are the markers that you should look for as you move forward with the younger pattern markers that say, this is not a moment, this is a path. First, they take initiative without being begged. They plan, they communicate, they contribute. They don't leave everything to you. Second, they don't make you feel like you're competing with their lifestyle. They are not married to attention. They are not addicted to flirting. They are not constantly seeking validation. Third, they are honest about their weaknesses and willing to grow. Not defensive, not prideful, willing. Fourth, they respect your reputation. They don't expose you. They don't use you. They don't turn your private life into entertainment. Fifth, they have self-control. This matters deeply. A person without self-control is not ready for covenant, because covenant requires discipline. When temptation appears, discipline when emotions shift, discipline when life feels boring. Now, let's address the fear that's been sitting in the background. What if this is just a lesson? Even if it were, you still move with wisdom. But here's the truth. Lessons don't always come with peace. Lessons often come with chaos and repeated confusion. Approved connections may challenge you, but they don't degrade you. They don't keep you in cycles. They don't make you feel like you're losing yourself. They don't demand you abandon your values to keep them. So if this connection is pulling you into clarity, into prayer, into maturity, into better choices, into healthier patterns, that's not just a lesson, that's alignment shaping you. But you still must do one thing: define the relationships. Direction. This is where hesitation must die. Not by rushing into labels, but by refusing vagueness. Vague love is dangerous because it keeps you emotionally invested without accountability. Vague love creates situationships. Vague love wastes time. So you calmly bring clarity. What are we building? What are your intentions? What does commitment look like to you? What timeline makes sense for both of us? What are your non-negotiables? What are mine? And you say it without fear. Because if they are approved, they will not run from clarity, they will respect you for it. They may not have every answer perfectly, but they will engage seriously. Now for the age gap specific wisdom that keeps the peace. You must agree on life stage realities, energy, lifestyle, finances, family expectations, children if relevant, social circles, long-term goals. Not to create pressure, to create alignment. Because the age gap itself doesn't destroy relationships, misaligned expectations do. One person assumes, the other person assumes. Then reality arrives and both feel disappointed. So you avoid that by speaking early and speaking honestly. And here's another place where hesitation hides: Insecurity. Insecurity makes you overdo. It makes you overgive. It makes you try to secure love with money, with favors, with constant availability. But a spouse connection should not require you to buy peace. If you find yourself doing too much to keep them, pause. Not because you're wrong for loving, but because love must be mutual. You should feel chosen without performing. You should feel valued without overextending. A healthy younger partner will not take advantage of your generosity. They will respect it and reciprocate it in their own way. Let's also talk about the spiritual weight of this. When heaven approves, it often means this relationship is meant to upgrade both of you. The older partner is upgraded from control into trust, from fear into peace, from performance into authenticity. The younger partner is upgraded from impulsiveness into discipline, from ego into humility, from convenience into commitment. And when both accept that upgrade, the relationship becomes powerful, because it's not built on needing each other to feel whole. It's built on choosing each other as whole people. So what does stop hesitating mean in one sentence? It means stop living in the doorway. Either walk into intentional building or walk away with honesty. But don't linger in emotional half-commitment. That's where anxiety lives. That's where mixed signals grow. That's where people get hurt. If you believe heaven approved this partner, then your response must be maturity, clarity, boundaries, honest conversation, steady progression, and consistent evaluation of fruit. Now let me speak directly to your heart. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not foolish for feeling something real. You are simply being invited into a higher way of loving. And yes, people may not understand it at first. But when your relationship is healthy, when it's respectful, when it's stable, when it produces peace, when it shows loyalty, when it shows growth, eventually the noise gets quiet because fruit speaks. So here's what you do today. You stop asking unqualified voices for permission. You stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios in your mind. You stop feeding the fear with constant overthinking, and you take the next wise step of clarity. You don't rush vows. You don't rush intimacy. You don't rush emotional dependency, but you do move forward with honest intention. And if you've stayed with me through this whole message, it means you're ready to love differently, wisely, calmly, seriously. So subscribe if you haven't yet, because we're building a community that chooses covenant over confusion, discipline over drama, and peace over pressure. And this is your season to stop hesitating and start building the kind of love that lasts.